Policy hearing and deliberations, Tuesday 25th of November. Call for apologies. We have one from Deb. That's it. So this afternoon the hearing is the information gathering part. The normal process is for a submitter to be given 5 minutes to speak to their submission and a further 5 minutes to answer questions. So especially the newbies, the questions from elected members to the submitter should only be to clarify matters raised in their submission, not to give opinions. Questions posed by submitters to council are not normally answered in this setting. Specific common questions are often answered in our response to submitters at the end of the process. Questions to officers are normally dealt with in the deliberations phase. The chair has discretion to vary from normal process. And should we invite our first submitter up? And first up it's Indira Alexander. And you will find Indira's submission, page 94 of the full submissions booklet. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, kia ora tātou. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this afternoon. I'm Indria Alexander, and I'm the Anglican Vicar of Ashburton. While I've made this submission as an individual, it is informed by 30 years of church ministry, engaging with the highs and lows in many people's lives. In opening, I'd like to acknowledge that money issues are one of the greatest challenges to couples' relationships. A lack of money, conflict about how money is used, and devastatingly hidden debt. And due to the highly addictive nature of pokies, it's estimated that 2 out of every 5 people who play regularly develop an addiction. They struggle to control how often they play and how much money they use. They may succumb to the temptation to borrow unwisely or to theft from their workplace, community group, family or friends. This broken trust impacts on them, their relationships, their household and the community. I understand the number of identified problem gamblers in mid-Canterbury is quite small. However, I'm guessing that there are others approaching crisis, and I fear that any increase in pokie machine numbers or the number of venues will be accompanied by an increase in harm. I therefore don't support the proposed cap for the district of 20 venues, which, as I said in my written submission, would be an increase of 80% from the 11 venues at the beginning of the year. If every venue were in time to reach its maximum number of pokie machines, I've calculated that as a 70% increase from the 135 at the beginning of the year to the figure of 230 mentioned in the council report. That is not a change beneficial to our communities. I similarly object to council allowing for the potential development of a standalone TAB venue. The primary purpose of a standalone venue would be to increase gambling, increasing both the number of gamblers and the amount of gambling. Again, not a change beneficial to our communities. I welcome steps proposed to mitigate harm in geographic areas of deprivation. There has been some critique of the sinking lid policy adopted by councils in other parts of New Zealand, with the suggestion that less physical access to pokies may drive gamblers increasingly online. The growing world of online gambling is already recognised as a matter for concern, for wisdom, and for legislation nationally. I recommend the prospect of online gambling not undermine Council's commitment to wise decisions within your immediate area of influence here in Mid-Canterbury. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Andrea. Councillors, questions? Councillor Moffat.
Hello. So if there is someone who is involved in harmful gambling, with pokies locally, do you know how long the harm would stretch out for in terms of time, and how many people that you think are affected by that?
I don't know specifics here. The harm, if it breaks a relationship, is lifelong, and certainly for the family can be.
Thank you.
Councillor Todd.
Thank you. Hi, Andrew.
Aye.
You support the capping of venues to 5. Probably the other side of the equation, the operators support 9. Is there or do you think there's a right balance between harm minimisation and venue viability? Because there's an argument that 5 is not viable by the operators, but getting a balance between what you support and what the others support is what we have to deal with.
Yes. I don't know the business aspects of it, and I come at it simply out of community harm is my concern. With regards to capping of numbers, well, yeah, my preference is actually for a sinking lid. So I'm not even suggesting that that any particular figure is right for a community. Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. Thank you for your very well written submission. Just want to clarify your sinking lid policy on numbers. So no more than we have now as a starting point, and then if a venue happens to close or disappear for whatever reason, that those machines can't be then replaced somewhere else is basically what you're asking.
Yes.
For. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
Any further questions, councillors? Andrea, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your submission. We will be deliberating this afternoon after all of the hearings, so that will be live streamed. So you're most welcome to have a look at that. But really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, our next submitter is Jared True, the Gaming Machine Association of New Zealand. And Jared's online. Jared, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Page 21.
I'll share my screen. All right. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Jared True. I represent the Gaming Machine Association of New Zealand, which represents the vast majority of game machine societies, a range of venue operators and a range of machine manufacturers. We congratulate Council on the excellent work the staff have done putting together the proposed policy. We support your new relocation provision. We think that's excellent. We do have some comments to make in relation to the 5 machine cap for new venues, and I'll talk to that shortly. And we do support the overall proposal that there be a cap of 20 venues in your district. So first of all, talking about your relocation policy, that's an extremely positive and sensible policy. It's positive that our venues are able to move away from undesirable areas such as high deprivation areas through to more suitable sites. I note that 47% of your venues are located in high deprivation areas, and I note that the policy provides that any new venue must be in an area that's decile 7 or less. So that will facilitate venues moving away from high deprivation areas to lower deprivation areas. That's entirely positive. The proposed relocation policy will also enable venues to move away from residential areas or sensitive sites. Again, that's positive and it's something council should look to facilitate. It's also fair and reasonable that we allow a venue to re-establish following a fire, a flood or an earthquake. It's fair and reasonable that we allow our venues to move out of an earthquake-prone building. And importantly, it's important to enable venues to move to newer, modern, smaller premises. This venue here is the first venue that ever relocated under the relocation provisions. It's a venue in Hamilton. It used to have 18 machines at this venue here. It's the inside of the venue. The operator was able to spend a considerable amount of money redeveloping that site and moving the site. It was able to take its 18 machines with them as a result of Hamilton City Council's relocation policy, enable the investment in that new facility, which is a fantastic facility for the district. In relation to your 5 machine limit, that's quite odd. It's very rare for councils to have a limit that's different than the Gambling Act. The Gambling Act does expressly permit new venues to host 9 machines. And note that's already half what we allow existing venues. Existing venues are allowed 18 machines. There's no evidence whatsoever to support a departure from the national 9 machine limit. There's no suggestion that problem gambling will be less if you only have 5 machines. It's a little bit like if you wanted to reduce alcoholism, limiting a bar to only 5 types of drink, 5 types of beer on tap. If someone's an alcoholic, they still want to go and drink one of the 5 beers. Just simply having 9 beers on tap rather than 5 beers on tap simply provides a slightly better choice and slightly better entertainment offering. So reducing the number to 5, there's no evidence that will support problem gambling. But if we do have a large number of smaller sites, that overall reduces the amount of community return that we make. 100% of our profits go out in community returns, and having smaller sites limits our ability to make a profit from the sites because each site has a whole lot of fixed costs associated. So if we had one 9 machine site, that's likely to generate more community funding than 2 5-machine sites with a total of 10 venues. Because if we have one 9-machine site, there's only one electronic monitoring system, one site controller, one set of licensing fees, one set of compliance signage, whereas if we have two sites, all those fixed costs are doubled, which reduces our community return. Your proposed cap of 20 venues is entirely reasonable. The problem gambling rate is extremely low, only 0.5% of the adult population. There's no direct link between gaming machine numbers and problem gambling rates. Over the last 10 years, our machines have reduced by 25%. We've lost over 4,500 machines. However, in that same 10-year period, the problem gambling rate has stayed exactly the same. There's considerable benefits that come from having the machines. The machines generate extremely valuable local funding for community groups. In 2024, the local funding was approximately $2.2 million. In addition to that, as the funding that the local clubs, so 2 of your 11 venues are club venues, Ashburton Club and the Ashburton RSA, all the profits from their machines are used to support their members, and that's in addition to the $2.2 million in external grants that are made. People enjoy playing our machines. Gambling is a form of entertainment. Over 69% of adult New Zealanders gamble at least once a year. Online's here, and online's going to get bigger. It's something we can't ignore. If council was to look to adopt a more restrictive policy, that's unlikely to reduce problem gambling, but will accelerate the migration to offshore-based online gambling. Online gambling is already significant. 27% of adults participate in some form of online gambling, with 19% of this group doing so weekly. The government's confirmed that online gambling licences will be granted. They'll be up and running very promptly by mid-2026. And with the licenses that will be granted will become the ability for these providers to now advertise freely. They'll also have the ability to offer player bonuses and inducements to gamble. You put $100 into your account, they'll double that and make that $200. Those sort of player bonuses and player inducements don't happen in our current physical venues. Online gambling is clearly undesirable. Only 4% of the online gambling profits will be used for grants. It's only a tiny portion. 100% of our profits go out in community grants. There's no local employment that's created, as opposed to the venue staff that monitor and supervise our machines at your local hospitality venues. The very large prizes offered online, unlimited prizes online. Our venues, the maximum prize is $1,000, and there's frequent inducements to gamble. Thank you for that, and I welcome your questions.
Thank you, Jared. A quick one from me before I head to Councillor Cameron. Your online gambling figure is 27% locally. Does that include TAB, or is that more your casino style?
This is online casino gambling.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Cameron.
I've just been trying quickly to find our policy, and I can't. Normally it's in, just as a feedback to the officer, normally it's in the, we did request last year that it's put in with the documents on Stella, and I can't find it easily enough. Thanks, Jared, for your comment. Can you tell me what is it? Can you refresh my memory on what's the Ashburton contribution from our X amount of sites to the community?
The $2.2 million and community grants plus the additional funding that comes from the two club venues.
What do you think? $2.2 million plus the additional funding that comes from what?
The club and RSA.
The two club venues.
Oh, MSA. And they and we have how many pokey machines, or how many machines do we have in Ashburton?
You currently have 131 machines and 11 venues.
And of those 131 machines, $2.2 million plus additional is distributed to the community from people that presumably lost that money whilst gambling, I'm guessing.
People that have spent that money gambling, correct, yes.
So what is the incentive to have sites? They presumably get their operating expenses out of that, do they, or their overheads, or how does that work?
So the venues that host our machines get paid a fee for supervising the machines, providing the space for the machines, providing power for the machines, ensuring the machine proceeds, etc. They get approximately 16% of the profits from the machines for providing that service.
Okay, so say the community got 2.2 million, they would have got distributed around them all probably about $300,000-ish.
No, I can quickly tell you. It would have been about $2.7 million that would have gone to local hospitality venues and the club venues to supervise and monitor the machines.
And an additional $2.2 million was distributed, is that correct?
Correct.
So $4.7 million was taken through the poker machines and lost?
So in 2024, the total proceeds through the machines was slightly over $7 million.
So 4.7. So the rest of it was profit, presumably. Was that right? For the punter, for the gambler.
So from the proceeds that goes through the machines, there's a range of taxes that are paid. So there's the 20% duty that's paid to the government. There's 15% GST that gets paid to the government. There's a problem gambling levy that's paid of about 1.24%. There's about 16% that goes to the venues for hosting and supervising the machines. There's costs associated with owning and maintaining the machines, the depreciation of the machines. There's costs associated with servicing, maintaining the machines. Once all those costs and taxes are taken out, there's normally a balance left that's around 40 to 43%, and all that balance of funds gets distributed through to the community.
Okay, one more question, if I may, with your indulgence. So just to summarise, 2.2 million is distributed in our community. 2.7 million goes to overheads. A significant amount goes to government and levies and all the rest of it. What goes to the winner in the gambling? Or we don't know that figure, is it an unknown figure?
So the $7 million is the amount that's lost through the machines. So the amount of money that goes through the machines is higher than that.
Of course, it must
For
be.
every dollar that goes into a machine, approximately 91.5% on average goes back to the player. So if you put $20 in a machine, you put $20 in, you win 18. You bet 18, you win 15.
So
you
we
bet
have
15,
so
you win
so
30.
based on that, what would our turnover through the machines be in our district about?
Yeah, I don't have.
So if we look at that, it would be quite a lot, wouldn't it? Quite a lot.
But turnover is a little bit artificial. Again, if I put $20 in a machine and I win 15, and then I bet the 15 and then I win 10, and then I spend the next half an hour and I've got no money left, I've only actually spent $20, despite the fact that the turnover would be about 120.
Yes, that's right. I'm just trying to get a feeling for the scale of it. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, Liz.
Thank you. Hi, Jared. Just the problem gambling rate, you said it was very low.
Yes.
How recent are those figures, and does that cover gaming machines and the online gambling?
So that's so the figures are the most recent figures that we have. But they're still about a year to 2 years old. So 0.5% of the adult population are what we deem to be problem gamblers, people that can't control their gambling. That equates to about 17,000 adult New Zealanders. And that's in relation to all forms of gambling. So it's not just simply game machines, that relates to online gambling, TAB gambling, lotteries products. And out of all the people that go to the treatment services, approximately just short of half of those people indicate that their main form of gambling is game machine gambling. So approximately half of all the people that report as problem gamblers indicate they have a problem from game machines. And in the latest figures we have for your district, there was a total of 2 new clients seen in a 12-month period for problem gambling treatment services. So out of that, half of those, one person would cite their primary mode of gambling being game machine gambling.
Thank you.
Councillor Moffat.
Hi there. Just wondering, with your example you have of the Te Rapa pub, once it had its refurbishment and it was nice and bright and shiny and attractive, did that attract more pokie players?
It's quite the opposite. When we see venues move typically to lower decile areas, more wealthy areas, and they offer a smaller, modern, more attractive offering, it's a slightly different clientele that tends to come, and we tend to notice a decline in our game machine revenue, not an increase.
Was the clientele younger?
Probably.
Thank you.
But our machines aren't the target market that use our machines aren't young people. Young people are into sports betting. It's more the 40+ people that play our machines.
And final question from Deputy Mayor Wilson.
Yeah, good afternoon. It's probably a wee bit similar. So that do you think we have evidence relocation will be driven by practical reasons, which we talked about new buildings and all that sort of stuff, or through sales? Because obviously you've said then perhaps some of the reasons they went to areas, you build a new fancy venue, sales drop. Because the risk is that obviously you go to a place where there's more potential sales. Have you seen that happen anywhere, or do you think that would happen?
You see a range of reasons why our venues are relocated. We have venues in pretty rough areas that just get fed up with having a shotgun pointed in their face for the 12th time in 12 months and want to move to a safer area of town. We have venues that have their land taken by public works acquisition. The pub becomes a roundabout. It's quite common for leases to be cancelled and land to be redeveloped. We have areas in residential areas where there's venues that the lease will get cancelled and that becomes high decile affordable housing. So there tends to be a range of reasons why people relocate. But your policy sensibly allows relocation, but only into decile 7 areas or less. So you're going to see those venues move to more suitable and more favourable areas, which is great.
Jared, thank you for your submission. Thanks for speaking to it this afternoon. Submissions, deliberations are around about 2:20 this afternoon, so they will be live streamed on our Facebook page, so most welcome to check those out, but once again, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And next up, we have Niall Miller from TAB New Zealand, who is joining us virtually. You can hear us okay there, Niall?
Yeah, sure can.
Okay, mate, the floor is all yours, so take it away.
Excellent. I'll just pop up my
And it's
screen.
page 71.
Is that coming through all right?
It is indeed, mate, yep.
Excellent, cool. Well, thank you very much, Council, for letting me speak to this. This is fantastic. I am Noel Miller, General Manager of Gaming from TAB New Zealand. TAB New Zealand is the statutory body established under the Racing Industry Act in 2020 to provide betting services to New Zealanders. We've had several names over the last couple of years. Probably the Racing Board being the most sort of well known. In June 2023, TAB New Zealand and Entain Australia entered into a strategic partnership arrangement so that Entain would deliver the operational and wagering functions of the TAB. This was a much needed partnership, and it injected capital and has meant that the customers have been sort of exposed to everything from a better betting platform, a quicker better betting platform, and better harmonisation tools. From August 2024, the TAB changed the name of its Class 4 distributions to that of the Bobby Foundation. Entain has the rights to the TAB branding, and it was being a little bit confusing as to who was giving away what money. So we decided to operate under the Bobby Foundation. Bobby was the nickname of Farlap, arguably New Zealand's most famous racehorse. Every bet placed with TAB returns to either the national sporting organisation for which the bet was taken, and to the 3 racing codes. This includes obviously the livelihoods of the thousands of Kiwis that are involved in these sectors. For the financial year of 2024, we returned 225 million total to racing and 26.5 to sports. Annual report is to be tabled in Parliament next week, so I'm unable to tell you that for the year of 2025 we returned 228 million to racing and 28.4 to moving to the policy. Look, TAB New Zealand continues the ability to allow the establishment of a standalone TAB venue. We agree in principle with prohibiting new venues from being established in areas of high deprivation, and we also agree with updating the relocation policy to relocate out of those areas, and we would also sort of want that extended to the TAB venue policy as well. In general, TAB New Zealand supports suitable relocation policies to allow for events that are outside of our sort of control, such as natural disasters or earthquakes, and trying to operate within more modern, safer buildings. And we generally oppose a cap or a sinking lid approach for TAB venues. We operate in the online space. We have TAB terminals available in pubs and clubs, so it just sort of is a little bit sort of immaterial. TAB venues are venues that are owned or leased by the TAB New Zealand. They do not include the social venues at bars or clubs that have the SST terminals. It's obviously part of the wider wagering channel, with our main customer base being the online platform. The standalone venue just simply provides more information, or a bigger space to provide more information on race form and conditions for upcoming races. Our approach to harmonisation, look, we conduct our business activities with integrity and are committed to providing the safest and most enjoyable environment for customers to wager responsibly. TAB and through Entain operate under a clear legal framework set by the government that governs how gambling harm must be identified and responded to. This creates clearer standards, improved accountability, and ensures that early intervention when these signs are observed. Additionally to that, TAB New Zealand actually has a statutory obligation to minimise harm. Entain has a dedicated safer betting team. All standalone venues are equipped with facial recognition technology to identify excluded customers. Our galleries are digitised, so we've got the most common up-to-date information for the staff at the venues to act upon identification procedures. All of our venue staff have harm minimisation training. We don't have automatic teller or ATM machines available in our stores. We've got CCTV. We don't sell alcohol, and we generally have fewer hours than other venues. Our commitment to safer gambling obviously is under a current environment of good increased government regulation. The problem gambling rate is quite low by international standards, and that's for all gambling. The restrictions that could be placed on a physical location will accelerate the migration of gambling to online. And I'll talk about that a bit more in a second. And they currently don't pay any taxes or duties to New Zealand. They don't have any harmonisation measures in place, and they don't obviously provide a community benefit at the moment. That will obviously change next year with the new law. The TAB, as well as all the other gambling suppliers in New Zealand, obviously contribute to a fee every year, or a levy that provides ring-fenced funding that is available to address minimising harm from gambling. And from a racing or a wagering only perspective, less than 10% of all presentations are due to a wagering related addiction. Just moving quickly to online, TAB New Zealand has successfully obviously implemented a piece of legislation that will ring-fence wagering protection. We were losing sort of $180 to $185 million a year, mainly to Australian bookmakers. We've addressed that. We still believe that there's $700 to $800 million a year spent with just casino operators online. And I said with the incoming casino gambling bill, there will be some protections implemented for players. There will be tax, there will be a license fee, obviously, and there will be some form of community benefit. But they will also provide, obviously, 24/7 availability, credit card playability. They will have much higher bet limits and prize limits than Class 4, and they will have increased and targeted ads.
We'll just get you to wrap things up as quick as you can, Noel. Cool. So we've got some questions. Thank you, mate. Are you all done? Happy, councillors? Questions? Mia Liz.
Thank you. Thanks, Noel. Just a question on standalone venues. How many would you have opened in New Zealand over the last couple of years?
Over the last couple of years, none. There's currently 45 operating across the country, and they have not increased for a number of years.
So just the question where you say that you would support one in our district, how likely is it that we would actually get one here?
Look, to be quite honest with you, it would be quite low. The cost to service a store is obviously, when you have taken into consideration the overheads, is a lot more than having an SST or a terminal in the venues around the district. But that's not to say never. And if there was sort of a change in circumstances with population increases and sort of dynamics like that, that would obviously be brought back into consideration.
Okay, thank
Councillor Moffat.
Hi, Niall. I'm not sure if you can answer this or not, but I'm just wondering if there's much migration between different platforms. For example, with the government phasing out greyhound racing, those gamblers that like a bet on greyhounds, is it likely they will migrate to something like electronic gaming machines? Do you know?
That's a very interesting question. I think that there is a crossover between people who do like to partake in wagering, betting, and in gaming machine betting in our stores. At the end of the day, the Greyhound product is going to be replaced with additional racing product.
Horse racing.
Yeah, with harness racing, and there's also obviously there will still be greyhound racing in other jurisdictions across the world that will be available.
Thank you.
And a quick one from me, Niall. The Bobby Foundation, I visit your site regularly, and that's the first I've heard of it. Is that advertised or promoted, the giving back side of things?
Yes, a little bit. A hot topic here at the office at the moment. Obviously, the way that the TAB is set up is that the majority of our funding goes back to racing. We make available 20% of our funding every year to amateur sport. So we do dabble in letting people know that we exist, but we also don't want to create a situation where we're going to have too much demand for what we can give in a way that's sort of still meaningful and has the ability to make a difference.
Thanks for your time, Niall. Appreciate it. Thanks for your submission. And we have deliberations around about 2:20 this afternoon. So you're welcome to hook into our Facebook page and watch those.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Next up, it's Fiona Allen from Youth Town, and councillors page 96 for Fiona's submission. Fiona, around about the 5-minute mark for talking to your submission, and then we'll have some questions from the councillors. Can you hear me okay? Can't hear you.
Kia ora.
The floor is yours, Fiona. Thank you.
Many thanks. Many thanks for inviting me to speak today. So I'm the Chief Executive of Youth Town. It's a capacity that I've held for the last 18 months. For those that may not be aware, Youth Town, 93 years old as an organisation, and have been investing into supporting young people, primarily between 5 and 24 years old, and that's through the variety of programs that we do. It could be Oscar school holiday programs before school, after school, and during the holiday period, through to wellbeing programs with young people, supporting them in the schools environment, within the communities and within their whānau, and also through to youth employability. That includes further licensing, etc., and all the tools in order for young people to strive to get their first job, and also youth enterprise, so encouraging innovation, creative thinking, and young people to start up their own business and therefore add to the New Zealand economy. So I guess that gives you a little bit of context. We are a nationwide organisation. Youth Town incorporated as a classical gaming society, so therefore licensed under the Gambling Act 2003. We operate 7 machines within South Rakaia Hotel, located in the Ashburton district. We also have 15 other venues throughout New Zealand as well. And the funds generated through the gross machine proceeds are either invested into Youth Town and the programs that we deliver to support young people in the communities throughout New Zealand, and that's through the programs that we deliver as an end user, and also we distribute grants to the community through the Youth Town Trust, and those grants are as you would be aware, on a monthly basis, distributed based upon the applications received. So it's interesting with regards to then, I guess, the changing nature of gaming in New Zealand, and we would like to oppose the proposed cap of 5 machines, and primarily that's because we're already seeing a decline naturally on a national basis. So with the Gambling Act 2003 restricting new venues to 9 machines, we feel that there isn't a need for council to restrict this further. This only deters investment and limits ability to replace the venues that close or relocate. And ultimately, we feel that it will reduce the ability to give back funding back to the local community. We're already seeing the new legislation with government expected to allocate by auction 50 new online casino gambling licences. And so there's already a risk that people will be choosing to gamble online, and at the moment a decrease in proceeds going back into the local community through organisations like ours at Youthtown, and obviously through other community organisations as well. So with that in mind, attempts to reduce the numbers or apply the sinking lid policies does not reduce gaming machine expenditure, and any reduction accelerates spending through online gambling offerings, which was currently not going to be monitored. And we believe at this point we'll also have very little harm minimisation measures. And I won't go into the extent, because I'm sure you're all aware of the harm minimisation the Class 4 gaming does operate under. It's a significant attention that we at Youthtown place in supporting our venues to do just that. So therefore, we're opposing the proposed cap of 5 machines that has been presented. I'll quickly just touch base on the other 2 and then go to questions, noting the short time period. So Youthtown do support the 20 venue cap. It helps manage and controls growth within the district, and we have therefore supported that in our proposal. And I think that approach also has a balanced approach between harm minimisation and the continued ability for community groups to also access what we're hearing. And we're seeing an increased amount of applications coming to the Youthtown Trust because there's so much need within the communities, especially with supporting young people. And the final one, with regards to Youthtown supporting the relocation provision, once again, we strongly support that and commend Ashburton City Council with regards to putting those measures in place. So I'll finish there. I'm aware of the time, and I'm open for any questions that you may have.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fiona. First question from Melas.
Hi, Fiona. Just a question on the 7 machines that in Rakaia. So the profit from those machines, do they end up coming back into the Ashburton community? Can you give examples of who might have received grants from those profits?
Yeah, good question. I actually don't have all the grants right in front of me to answer that specifically. But I can explain the rationale. Yes, we don't have a Youthtown presence. Sometimes we do as an end user. For example, in Christchurch, we have a team that are delivering programs and activities there. And so in places where there may be venues that we don't have, based upon scale and size, larger teams, we do encourage obviously opportunity for the local community to put in applications. And so when applications do come in, it's considered as to the obviously giving back to young people and meeting that, but the geographical need as well. So the local versus national applications too. So I don't have it right in front of me, but I can share that post this meeting of exactly which community organisations have been invested into through the Youthtown Trust in the Ashburton region.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess I'm thinking, does it all go into a big pot or does it come back into our district?
No, and that's the philosophy with regards to, I guess, looking at investing into the community in which the monies are received in, first and foremost. And there is also a national pool. Hopefully I've explained that.
Fiona, a quick question from me. If not 5 machines for new venues, how many is the magic number for you?
Well, I think it's maintaining the same. The 9 machines as a minimum would be ideal with regards to just pragmatically, supporting. I could say 18, but I think aligning with the Gambling Act 2003 with regards to the restriction of the new venues being 9, as that 9 would be that figure that I would say.
Thank you very much for your submission. Thank you for appearing to talk to it. We really appreciate your time. And as mentioned, we're deliberating shortly, so you're most welcome to hook into our Facebook page and watch those live online.
Amazing. Well, I've got every assurance that you'll make some good decisions. And thank you once again for inviting me to present with you today.
Thanks, Fiona. Okay, councillors, that brings to a close the hearings, and we will get prepared to open up for deliberations. 5 minutes. To the deliberations part of this afternoon, and officers will provide a quick introduction to the process, and then a presentation of feedback, etc. received. So we'll hand it over to the top table. Thank you.
Thank you. I think this is the first time I've been here since council was elected, so if you don't know me, I'm Mark Lowe, I'm the Strategy and Policy Manager. In terms of other people who are here, Mel Newman, who's the Policy Advisor, who's been working on this policy, and Rick Catchpole, who's the Environmental Health Manager, who is sort of responsible for the technical side of this, and also in the back we've got Lou Dunstan, who did a lot of the early work on this policy review. So just in terms of the process, we sort of assume that all the submissions have been read, so you'll have a full submissions booklet on Stella. What we'll do in terms of the process is that we'll go through the summary of feedback that's on Stella and sort of give consideration to all the written submissions that have been received, as well as the verbal ones, and deliberate on that feedback, and get your feedback on a range of sort of topics that'll come up on screen as we work through. Then we'll sort of work through the draft gambling venue policy and just get any further feedback on proposed changes and answer any questions as we go through. So, and that will be repeated for the next policy, dangerous and sanitary buildings policy, but later on down the track. So in terms of how we did get here, so this policy review started a wee way back. This is the first time I think we've sort of done a full review of the policy since about 2012. Since then it's sort of been rolled over, there hasn't been any significant changes. So back in May, June, we did some early engagement with a number of stakeholders, including the gaming societies, venues, harm prevention agencies, Māori health agencies and so on, and got some sort of early input into the policy review. We had a workshop in July, and then the formal consultation in September, October this year. And obviously now we're at the hearings and deliberation stage. So just a bit of feedback in terms of the online gambling world, which you heard a little bit about from some of the hearing submitters. So as you know, it's not currently regulated, but there's been a number of developments in the government space in that area. So at the moment there's sort of no money being returned through online gambling for things like community groups, and there's no harm minimisation really in place like there is with Class 4 gambling. But the government has announced, as you would have read, that legislation is being developed to allow up to 15 operating licences for online gambling operators, and an offshore gambling duty will be included as part of this. And in recent times, at the end of October, the government made a further announcement that following feedback, because there was quite an outcry from particular community and sporting groups around potentially getting some funding from that source, that the offshore gambling duty tax would be increased from 12 to 16%, and that 4% of that would be ring-fenced specifically for community returns. At this stage we don't really have any further detail on how that might come back to communities. Obviously that'll be part of the government's process in developing that, but they have said that that's an additional source of money on top of what is already received through Class 4 gambling venues. So, is everyone clear on the process? Any questions on any of that? So we'll move on and work through, and Mel will just take you through the summary of feedback.
Perfect. So, on pages 5 and 6 of the summary of feedback, you can see the comments that we received on the first proposal that we asked for feedback on. We asked submitters what their thoughts were on the proposal to allow standalone TAB venues to establish in the district, given that they meet the conditions of the policy. So this is already in our current policy, and we were proposing to keep it the same. As you can see, the support for this was low, as majority of the submitters opposed TAB venues establishing and suggested that there should be less options for gambling in the district rather than more. So based on the feedback received, does Council wish to retain this proposal, change it, or remove it from the draft policy?
Sorry, we might just want to go back one step. And just in terms of working through that summary of feedback, just go through page by page. Let's just go back a slide. Just have a read through the submissions and give you the opportunity to ask any questions on that feedback. So if you've got the summary of feedback open, we can work through that.
Councillor Cameron.
So the standalone TAB units, most venues, most people do not want standalone TAB units. Most respondents. Am I correct?
Correct, yes. 67% said that they didn't want standalone
So
TAB.
we had 18 people, so 12 people versus 6 people. Can I ask one more question? Did we go out to gamblers? I don't know if you can identify them and ask them questions. Did we go to the MSA or the RSA or the TAB or anywhere?
We did ask the venues, definitely, in terms of the consultation process. They were part of that. I mean, we didn't directly target any gamblers. Obviously, they were able to submit through the broader consultation process.
If they were aware of it, then as a group, it might have been quite interesting to talk to a few of them. Thank you.
Neelis.
Thanks. I'm just looking at Cliff Down's submission, just saying not highly likely to happen, and I think we also heard that from Niall from TAB, and I can't. He doesn't have a comment in the summary, but it doesn't. I mean, if they haven't opened a standalone venue in New Zealand for the last couple of years, then it doesn't seem very likely that they would in Ashburton.
Well, we had one right next to the MSA and it closed down, so that sort of says it all. But I guess the question is, do we allow one to establish because it's not likely to happen? And are we going to stop a potential business? Councillor Wilson?
This is a free trade sort of thing. Do we take that into account as a question to officers? Do we take that into account when we're looking at the venue? You know, I understand the gambling venue thing, but also specifically talking about one entity being open to be able to open a premises, which would directly be in competition with perhaps some of the other venues. Do we take that into account, or is that taken into account in the process, or is it that sort of put to one side, the competitive disadvantage or advantage?
Sorry, Councillor, could you just repeat that or clarify further?
What we're being talking about here is whether the TAB is allowed to open a premises in the Ashburton district or not open a premises. If we say no, they can't open a premises, there'll be many venues that believe that by stopping them, that could actually benefit them economically. So I'm just wondering, should we take that into account when we're thinking about this? Because obviously if I look at some of the submitters, some of them will potentially be free trade type scenario. They're saying, well, I don't want them here, so I'll knock them out of the equation. So we're only just talking about the gambling policy reasons here, not a commercial entity or anything trade. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, the TAB is a slightly different entity because it's run under the Racing Act. So it's essentially around whether or not you wish to enable them to establish within the district or not. It's not a competitive decision. It's just whether or not you enable that.
Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. If we said no in our policy to a standalone TAB unit, and in 10 years' time our population grows and there's suddenly TAB thinks there's a need for it, could they apply for a resource consent to go outside of this policy and achieve that outcome through there if the people at the time thought that was appropriate?
I suspect not, because if you said no, then basically we're saying that we wouldn't enable that to happen. But in saying that, we review this policy every 3 years, so there is an opportunity to tweak it as we move through.
Ian's got a comment.
Yeah, thank you. I think there's two different parts to this. So we've got the Resource Management Act, and I see that the policy or the draft policy actually talks about being permitted activities in business zones for gambling venues, or if a resource consent's been required, and there's also a requirement for all that relevant resource consents to be obtained. So that's one part of it. But then you've also got the requirements of the policy as well. So that it's two sort of separate, I guess, gates that it has to pass through.
Councillor Todd.
Thank you. I think you just asked him a question anyway, but so this gets reviewed every 3 years, is that right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. So if we did say no, they don't have to wait long to reapply, really.
Thanks. Tony, I'll just get you to pull your machine closer to you, please. Oh. Thank you. Mark and Mel, what are you wanting from us now? It's some sort of direction as to... So does council wish to retain this proposal, change, or remove it from the draft policy? Any other thoughts?
I don't think it needs to be in there because it just feels very highly unlikely that it will ever happen. And there's online, you can bet on the TAB online, there's a number of hotels, pubs, etc. where you can go in. So I just don't think we need a standalone venue.
Councillor Ellis?
Thank you. Same thinking. I just think it's going to be so unlikely. I don't think we need to even record it in the document. So I'd take it out.
Councillor Todd?
Well, I think particularly when the TAB itself isn't really pushing this topic, it's really low down on their priorities. So I think we don't proceed with this part of it.
Okay. Councillor Moffat?
Yes, and also that the majority of individual submitters had concerns about community, and most of them were saying that they don't want a standalone TAB as well.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson?
I would support them being able to do it because it's competition and you don't want to protect someone from competition. So that's my reasoning. But it's just it's the same thing going to happen. It's just, it could be another shop, it could be more employment, it could be, whatever, but it's competition. So I'm in favour of competition.
Thanks. Show of hands. So it seems like most want to remove it. All those who wish to remove it can raise your hands and keep it in. One.
Oh, no, I'm out.
Okay, so that will be prepared for council on that basis. Thank you. Next section.
So on pages 8 and 9 of the summary of feedback, the comments relating to the next question we asked, which was about the proposal to largely keep the location controls the same, but to introduce one additional location control which prohibits venues from establishing in or existing venues relocating to areas that have a socio-economic deprivation score of 8 or more, which would indicate high levels of deprivation. So the support for this was high, as a majority of submitters thought that this would help to minimise harm in these areas.
Thank you. Councillor Cameron.
I support this, but I also have a caveat, as another comment to make, is, Ashburton's about 2 kilometres square. Are these deprivation departments meaningful? We're not a very big town. You can walk from one side. It's not far to go from a high. I looked on the map. I think we've got deprivation scores. To go from the race course to the college is 5 minutes walking. It's not far. Is a deprivation score meaningful?
Millis?
A similar question, because I think in the workshop we had in Methven, the blue pub and the brown pub were in different deprivation areas. So how is it decided? But I note there is a lot of support for this, so I'm happy. But I just feel that it's an interesting one.
Councillor Wilson.
Can we bring up the map just to show us, because it's quite the visual thing's quite important for us all to see and understand it. Because it's easy to say deprivation. You think, yes, that means a certain area, but when you look at the map, it does actually change your view, probably potentially.
Tony, do you want to hop in while we're doing
Yep, I can talk to the stats and the data side of it. So the deprivation index is it's a New Zealand score that builds off a whole lot of different metrics. In terms of how those actual blocks or units are made up, they're called area units. So the whole country is built on little mesh blocks. If you think of it could just be a whole block within a city, and that's based on population. Then those blocks then form up into area units, and those area units form up into our SA1 and SA2. So towns, rural areas, for example. So when you use the area units, that's what we would be using to assess the blocks, which the team are just putting up on there now. But there are interesting quirks with that, and Councillor Cameron, you've picked up on the fact that it's not normally in a town like this very far from one area unit to another. And also Mayor Liz has picked up in Methven the anomaly that we've got up there with the brown pub and the blue pub. Yeah, but it does actually reflect the community that lives in that area. It's not built off nothing. It is built off a grounded basis of science based on population data. So it's how you want to think about it, I guess.
Richard, did you want to hop back in now that the map's up there and continue with your line of... Okay. Councillor Moffat?
I know it's not a technical way of looking at it, but I think for our purposes, we can reimagine this as those in our community who are vulnerable in any way and deprived, rather than putting them in a particular street or area, thinking of them as a section of our community that could be potentially harmed.
I think we've highlighted the anomaly, but the submissions are very strong in their support with 89% for the proposal.
Yeah.
So, did you want to have something to say, Mr. Todd?
I agree with the submission, but if those who are going to gamble will probably travel anyway, so it's really, I think it's quite irrelevant, really.
They can walk to the next spot. Yeah. So, support the proposal, in favour? Nods all round, hands up. And against? There we go, thank you.
Thank you. Moving to the next one. So this is pages 11 to 13 in the summary document. So we propose to retain the cap of 5 gaming machines allowed at new venues. And as you heard during the hearings, legislation allows for a maximum of 9 machines. 55% of submitters supported the proposal, and some mentioned that the cap should ideally be lower than 5, whereas 45% opposed the proposal, and reasons for opposing were mixed. So some thought that the cap should be even lower than 5, while others thought that it should be higher due to operational viability.
Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. Couple of things. Jared in his submission told us there's 131 machines in 11 venues. 2 of those venues make up 36 of the machines. South Rakaia has 7 machines, so that leaves 8 venues and 88 machines. So on average at the moment we've got 8.8 machines. 11 machines around the district. So I'm a bit confused as to who's got them all, actually, because it's obviously there's some that fall in that gap. But my second question here, or statement, I suppose, is one of the people who said they support the 5 machines because it reduces temptation actually runs 18 machines. So I think that swings the statistics a little bit, because that's just taking competition away. It's not really a fair argument in that, and that would almost bring it back to 50-50 on that there. Where I was getting to with my argument, I'm not sure if you put 5 machines in how economical it's going to be. I think that's making it hardly worthwhile. But yeah.
Thank you. Elis?
Thank you. I'm just looking on page 11, Nikki Rogers' submission, and she's from Hospitality New Zealand, and just saying she even had a mixture of feedback from her people. So the New Zealand or the Gaming Act has a 9 machine limit. We're at 5, and again in Jared's submission he talked about having the costs of having 2 5-machine venues as opposed to 1 9-machine venue. There's a lot of fees, etc., that they have to pay. So yeah, I'm leaning probably more to the 9 machine as opposed to the 5, and yeah, very tricky for the feedback from here. 20 people, 11 yes, 9 no. Yeah.
Councillor Cameron.
I go with the consultant, the people. I say yes, we put a cap of 5 machines per site. We did also hear there was a 2.2 million distribution to the community, but a 2.7 million overhead charge for those machines, which included depreciation and which included cost of power, which I think is just a plug from what I've observed. And I do take on board Reverend Alexander's position that of the community harm, and I think we've managed perfectly well with 5 machines, and it seems to me that no one's closed down because they're not making enough money out of it. So I support 5 machine cap per venue, certainly not an increase. And thank goodness for the community.
Councillor Moffat.
The technical advice that the council got from from Health New Zealand said that the Ashburton district actually has more electronic gaming machines compared to the rest of the country. It's 35.6 per 10,000. The rest of the country, it's 26.3, according to their technical advice that they gave to us. So the district, according to that, is already above the recommendation. So I don't see why increasing it to 9 when we're already above that, as we are.
Councillor Wilson.
Am I correct saying that the 9 is only for new venues that are being proposed? It's not existing. Existing have sort of pre-rights as it was to stick where they were.
That's correct. Yeah.
So my view would be if we have it at 9, that'll be better, because 9 will mean they have a larger space which can be more monitored and more looked after and stricter controls. 5, you tend to be in a smaller space, less monitoring. I know they have to monitor them, but a 9 venue may actually be a better outcome than a 5, simply because they have more scope to monitor and the people that are in there for problem gambling.
Councillor Cameron.
Can I make an additional comment?
Yeah.
So you're suggesting, Councillor Wilson, that 9, they allocate a bigger, more open space that would improve ease of monitoring, so making sure people aren't putting too much money in the pokie machines. Is that what you're suggesting? I think that's highly unlikely and naive, personally, and I think 5 is a reasonable cap.
Councillor Todd.
Oh, do I dare say anything after that? I think historically, when you look at the Hotel Ashburton, you look at Timwell Tavern and the MSA, in the early days they're carrying on with their 18 machines, so there's probably 3 or 4 venues that distort the number of machines, because there's a lot of machines in 3 or 4 sites. But I sort of take on board Jared's comments regarding venue viability. 5 machines per site is probably quite low, and I'm relaxed that we do increase that to 9.
Thank you. Councillor Maxwell.
Do we have any idea or, I don't know, sort of trends or anything that show that we would have new facilities come into town and open these up? Or is it pretty static? I haven't looked at the stats for the last however many years to see how static it is.
Machine numbers are on decline overall in the district.
No, it's about the number of venues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, through the chair. I would need to discuss that with Ian, and we could perhaps get an answer to you, because you're looking at future applications coming in, future buildings and so on. He might be in a better position. Our building manager may also know what future applications for establishments are coming in. We can get that information to you, but I'd have to have 5 minutes for that.
So in the last 5 years, there's only the one venue that's a new one, isn't it? Which has been recent. Yeah.
Sorry, what was that, Mark?
Just in the last 5 years or so, there's only been one new venue established with 5 machines.
Okay, let's gauge a bit of a feel on what we're thinking. So, sorry, Ian.
Yeah, thank you. I was just going to quickly add to that it's not something that I'm aware of has been something that's been of concern to the people that we deal with as a problem for economic viability. It's not something that's crossed my desk as something that's really been raised as a significant issue.
Right, it's good to know. Thank you. So, those in favour of supporting the retaining of the cap of 5 machines? 1, 2, 3, 4, and those against? 1, 2, 3. Yep, I was the first.
So we'll clear on the basis of that, but could be a debate on the day.
Okay, so there'll be a report prepared on that basis, but there could well be a debate when it comes to decision day. Thank you.
Can I just seek clarification on that? The absent councillors, as they're not at the deliberations, can they be included in that vote? Yes or no?
If it goes as a report to council for the,
They can watch the deliberations though.
If you don't have an opportunity to question the deliberate. I don't know, but I do recall a situation with Councillor Lovett last year where she wasn't available to discuss I think it was actually the hall, Balmoral Hall, and she wasn't, and there was some decision that she wasn't able to participate in that vote, I think. Is that correct, through the chair to the officer?
Through the chair, that's correct. That was a decision made in the LTP process. Yes, because she hadn't been present for the hearings.
so she hadn't been present for the hearings, so she was then not allowed to be involved in the deliberations, but the final report that went through to council was to a whole council meeting. Is that not correct?
Through the chair, as we were doing the deliberations with the LTP, it was slightly different. So this process was actually it was considered a council meeting, and there were being decisions made as we went, given the magnitude of what was happening at that point in time.
Remember, the process was we continued those council meetings.
We'll seek some clarification and bring some.
We're always in
definition
council
for you.
meetings for those processes, weren't we? Opened them and carried them on. And
We did, yes. It was quite different to this, but we'll get some certainty for you.
I've got the record there wrong. I've got 4 3s. I'm missing somebody, so it's 4 or 5. 5 3.
Just as a comment on that, I guess as a recollection on when we were developing the draft policy, the sort of a balance between the number of venues and number of machines and the number of venues. So the sort of approach that we were aiming for was a controlled growth. So I guess there's a balance between how many machines you have and how many venues you have. Because if you've got high numbers in both, then you're not really aiming for controlled growth. It's a slightly different philosophy you're aiming for. So that's just something to consider when you're working through this.
Yep. As mentioned, every 3 years we have another look at this. So if Ian's all of a sudden getting people saying, oh, we're not going to bother with machines at all, 5 isn't worth our money, then we can readdress it. Thank you. The next question.
All right. On pages 15 and 16 of the summary of feedback are comments on the proposal to introduce a district-wide cap of 20 venues, which is a new clause in the policy and would allow for 8 new venues to establish. So 67% of submitters supported this proposal, but the reasons were quite mixed. Some suggested that 20 venues is a good balance, while others thought that the cap should be reduced. Submitters who opposed the proposal generally thought that the cap should be lower as well.
Thank you. Questions or comments, councillors? Liz?
Just a question on page 16, and Marion Logan has said, no, keep it at 12. So is that what it is currently, 12?
Currently we don't have a cap, but there are 12 venues.
Okay. So that would be it. No, okay.
Councillor Wilson?
Would it be fair to say that because we had no cap before, the 20 is 20, but in reality you have 15,000 venues if people go online. So the venue thing is probably is becoming if you don't have enough venues, people will just sit at home and do it. So it's a bit of a, what's the word for it, it's a false, having 20 is not going to make a huge difference, I don't think. So I support the 20.
Councillor Moffat?
I'm just curious at how the number of 20, how you got to that number.
I think it was just a council decision where they ended up with 20 at that point.
Sounds random to me.
Councillor Cameron?
Do we have any feel for how many people in the district go online proportionally, and how much is spent online?
No, but
There
I'll just
must be
check.
that data nationally that we could apportion out.
It's not down to a district level, unfortunately, and because online gambling is unregulated at the moment, they don't report on the expenditure. So I think in the report that we took initially a few months ago, we had some anecdotal evidence. I think it was around 300 million they were estimating per month was being spent online, but that's not official reporting, so it's hard to tell.
Did I hear you correctly? 300 million per month, $300 million per month is spent as a sort of a bit of a figure spent online in New Zealand on online gambling.
I'll just pull it up in the report and double check.
Wow, that's a lot. I take the point that we can't control online gambling, or can't currently, but we can control gambling that occurs in the district, because we can control that through venues, and we can control that through number of poker machines. So why don't we look at what we can control and how we can influence what we can control? And I don't think we should have a district-wide cap of 20 venues if we currently have 9, and no one's said to me, I want to go somewhere else to use the poker machines, and I don't know if other people have had that experience. No one's come up to me, and I see a lot of people every week, so I suggest we keep the cap we've got, and we don't have 20 pokers.
The cap is currently 20.
12, there's 12 at the moment.
We don't have a cap.
No. Sorry, I suggest we stick to 12. Based on, let's control what we can control, based on the fact that gambling, and we've heard from, read some of the submissions, and we know from what we've read online that gambling can cause harm. We also know it's not necessarily something we want to create a competition in, because we heard from Jared from the online gamblers that basically you know, they might have $20, but they might get 15 back, but then they put their 15 in and they might get 10 back, then they put the 10 and they might get 5 back, then they put the 5 in and they get nothing back. That was the scenario he spoke to us about. So I think if we've got 12, let's stick with 12 and be done with it. And I'd be interested in other people's comments about how many people actually come up to them and said, I want to be able to go somewhere else to gamble with the pokie machines. It's a bit of a different thing, I think.
Elis?
So we've got the option up there to remove it from the draft policy. So that means that there's no cap at all.
Correct.
Yeah. And there, or we could retain it for having a 20 venue cap or change the cap, which could be the 12 that we've got at the moment or another number. But I suppose we just have to be mindful that we haven't had any feedback on another number. Most people, and we're going through the summary now and looking at people's feedback, and most people have mentioned the 20 cap because that was in the submission. So I think we just need to be mindful of that.
Councillor Wilson?
On the 20 cap, at the moment we've got no cap, so we're actually restricting things by putting a 20 cap in the first instance. And a 20 cap allows some new venues to open, and competition will mean if some new venues open, some other ones may end up folding. So you're actually allowing perhaps better venues. When I say better, I don't mean better to gamble in. I mean more newer, because if a new venue opens, it's more than likely going to have state-of-the-art monitoring, and if the new venue opens, so it'll be a lot better to monitor and regulate. So that's where I think it's, to me, may help renewal and a better outcome for the problem gamblers, and they have a venue which is actually better suited to it, not just a dark room in the corner of a bar, effectively.
Councillor Ellis?
Thank you. Just another question of clarification, I suppose. If we did go 12 and we didn't submit on that, it's quite a material impact, because it means no new person can suddenly apply and they've had no warning of that. We're just going to drop it on them. Is that impactful enough to say maybe we should go back out to consult if we wanted to make that choice?
Potentially, I guess it depends on the balance in terms of the other decisions with the policy, such as the number of machines as well. That's something we'd have to look at a bit closer. Just to clarify, in terms of that offshore online gambling, so it's actually 300 to 500 million per year, rather than 300 million per month. Is that right? 300 to 500 million per year is the estimate, but there's no real accurate, robust data at this point.
Councillor Moffat?
I think if there is going to be a cap, we need to follow a more scientific process than just going, oh, let's choose this number. I mean, I presume there's methodology and looking at a community of this size, and perhaps, I don't know, saturation point for number of venues, that kind of thing. I just think that needs to have more stable ground, personally. And just one thing I'd like to say, from one of the submitters, I'm just going to quote from Mapu Maia, I should say, who is a Pacifica organisation here, and we do of course have a growing Pacifica population. They said, our communities cannot experience harm and lose money on pokie machines that are not there, and that's basically the crux of it, isn't it?
Councillor Todd?
Thank you. So, like, if we increase the number to 20, then that's what we're saying, is that there's potential for another 8 hospitality venues to open in our district, which to me is highly unlikely in the near future. So I just wonder whether we need a cap at all. We haven't had a cap, and we seem to survive okay without it. So it'll be driven by the market, whether a new hospitality venue opens up, and if they do, they can or cannot apply for a poker machine. So, to me, why put a cap, really?
Question, Rick. Did you just say before, of the 5 latest venues to open, only 1 installed machines?
Sorry, could you just repeat that?
Of the 5 latest venues to open, did only 1 install machines? Is that what you said before?
That's right, that's correct.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Maxwell?
We just agreed to having a new venue with 5 machines, and then there's a discussion now of having no new venues. It sounds a little bit conflicting. I think you could have 20 machines with, 20 venues with just 5 machines. You've already chosen to limit the number of machines.
Okay. It would sound like we're very conflicted with this one. So, do we have any support for the cap at 20 venues? If you can raise your hand. Well, I guess the alternative is no cap.
Yeah.
Or
Introduce a different cap.
Introduce a different cap that has it at the current 12.
Yeah.
Tony?
I was going to suggest one of the questions should be, do we need a cap?
Yeah,
So-
yeah, that's going to be the next option. So the first option is, Richard, did you want to?
I'd just like to make a comment. The reason you have a cap is because then you have a cap, and a cap demonstrates that you do believe there is a limit, and in the future you can then look at that cap and go, well, crikey, it's too, you don't know what could happen. It could be that every single dairy in the district, or every pharmacy, retail or whatever could decide that we're going to become a gambling booth, because that could be where things go. You don't know. But having a cap of 20, we actually have put a line there that we can actually, it's a stopping point, but it's not a point where we're squeezing businesses to think, well, I better apply tomorrow in case I can't have it the day after. At 20, there's enough room. You'll have some ins and outs, but you've actually stopped. You don't know. There could be a simple way of doing 5. They could make the overseas gambling rules so tight that people go, well, I'll just have 5 gambling ones in lots of places. So I think that's why I support 20, because I think it's a limit. It's not a draconian limit, but it's not an unfettered right to have them.
Thank you. Right, so we'll put that one again. So the cap of 20. So hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the 12 maximum. 1.
I want to come to a different number. But I don't know what that number is, because I think it needs to be looked into a bit more closely. I want a cap, but I don't know what the cap is.
Okay.
So,
I guess just one comment maybe to help is, the purpose of this policy is about enacting gambling on a local level. So if you look at the purpose of the Act, it's around controlling the growth of gambling, preventing and minimising harm from gambling, facilitating responsible gambling, ensuring that money from gambling benefits the community, and enabling community involvement in decisions about the provisions of gambling. So it's about getting the balance right, which I guess with the original, I'm not advocating necessarily for the previous approach in terms of controlled growth. That was sort of about getting the balance between the number of machines and the number of venues. So that's sort of part of the conversation in my mind about how you get to an end result.
sorry, can I ask
Councillor
one more
Moffat, yep.
question? Yeah. Do you know what comparable councils' policy is on this? Do they have caps? How many? Do you know?
I think, was that in the social impact?
Yes, I can get that in a minute.
Yep, we'll just bring that up.
So part of the work before we got to the policy stage was we have to do a social impact assessment. So that's possibly something that as new councillors you might not have seen. Yeah.
Sorry, Tony. So 32 out of 64 councils have a capped policy. Selwyn and Kaikoura are the only other ones in Canterbury that have a cap. I don't have it noted how much they have, but I can go and find that for you.
So 32 have a cap and the others have no cap whatsoever.
Some will have a sinking lid as well. I'll get those numbers.
Yeah.
So 23 have a sinking lid. So there's actually a minimal amount that don't have some form of cap or control over a venue number.
Okay. With the 6 votes, can we prepare something along those lines for council?
Yep, and we'll prepare. Yep, and we'll provide a bit of background information in the report as well, so you can understand the context of the debate that we've had today.
Thank you. Mark and Mel, back to you. Relocation.
Yes, so on pages 18 to 20, we had feedback on the proposal to allow relocations for existing venues for certain reasons, such as the expiry of a lease, a natural disaster, economic viability. Submitters were split 50-50 on this proposal. Some thought it made good policy and business sense and that it may help to reduce harm, while others think that there should be no new or improved venues, or that it won't help to reduce harm.
Milas?
Thank you. Who decides on whether the certain reasons are viable? Is that like how is it granted? So I guess if it's an earthquake and they have to relocate, then that's kind of a given. But is there any? They have to reapply for that. That's through you, Rick, is it?
Thank you. Through the chair. So where we fit into this policy is that we have food and health contractors who have experienced inspectors for the resource consent side and the policy decision making. So the policy that's agreed, they would investigate that, and the application that comes in, there would be building control officers as well as our alcohol inspectors and food and health contractors who will all have a say in that venue as to why it's being relocated. It could just be a straightforward restaurant situation, a bigger restaurant being provided. It could be that it's earthquake prone. So there's quite a few different decision making made on that application, which is then, as I say, investigated by the contractors.
Okay.
Councillor Wilson.
It's a question for Rick. Is the venue licensed or is the operator licensed?
So it's both the operator. From our perspective, we're looking at the operator and the venue. So it's the operator's application for that venue. That's going to DIA. We're investigating the whole application.
Yep. So
so it's DIA who have the last say and approve it from their perspective.
I understand if a venue, the building was falling over and they had to shift, that's quite a simple one. But if a venue was falling over and it was sold and somebody else came into the district and bought up that, if we've got these anomalies, you'd say, with the 18, they bought the venue to get the 18 to put into a new venue. Is that possible to do? And sort of circumnavigated our new venue rule of 5 sort of thing? Is that possible, or how does that work?
Yeah, define that.
All I can really say, Councillor, through the chair, is that the whole application is looked at. It's the building, whether it conforms, the layout is very much part of this. we deal with the actual layout of the premise, look at that and the signage that's going in, the exposure to vulnerable people, and also the applicant, if they're of as a good operator financially.
From my way around it, you can sell your, if you sell your venue, do you have to reapply for your licence?
We'll just get Lou to help with this one as well. She did a bit of work on this.
A legal point that we can get back to you on.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a two-prong approach. So DIA issue the venue consent, the operator license to the corporate society who owns the machines. Council then are responsible for issuing the venue consent. That goes to the business. So if someone purchased the business, it still operated under the same name, the same venue, then that consent would be retained, is my understanding. And I may call on Tanya to check that. That is my understanding. But if you move location, so physical location, that's when it triggers the relocation policy.
Councillor Cameron.
My question is the same as Richard's pretty much. Unintended consequences of this. If the MSA opened another branch in Tynwald, are they allowed to move 5 of their pokies to that other branch in Tynwald?
It'd be a whole new business. They could have 5 more.
Well, it's not. It'll be a subset. It's part of their current.
Lou, did you want to come on that?
So sorry, just to clarify the question, so you're saying there's an existing business who then opens an additional business under...
No, they open a branch under the MSA, you know, they're saying it's an offshoot, you know, they have under the same LTD out to Tynwald. They open another site.
The site would need its own consent.
Own consent for the pokies?
Yeah. So if you think of it as a physical location, that's what requires.
So you would then, and they're still owned by the MSA people, the board still own them, same board, same everything.
Yeah, correct.
They need another consent to relocate the site of the 5 machines.
Yes.
Are there unintended consequences as far as you can see, Rick, through this particular part of the policy?
No, we from our perspective, it works. The system works.
Yeah. It just seems to me that would be a component of goodwill if they're generating $2.7 million in the district. In terms of turnover, it would be a component of goodwill, and it would be a thing to sell. You know, so I think that there's issues around that, but I don't know what that is. Oh, you leaped on your button quickly there.
It's probably a point of clarification. So what trumps it? Does the venue's right to have the pokies or the DIO's, the operator's right to have? Because if, say your operator was found to be not fit and proper, does that mean the venue loses its licence, or can your venue keep going if they get another operator that's fit and proper?
Yeah, so if you think about it as a bit of a chain event, so the corporate society has to have an operator license, which gives them permission to operate pokie machines. They then seek out a venue, the venue gets that consent, and then it actually goes back to DIA, who give the Class 4 venue license. So essentially, if you don't have all 3 of those things, then you can't operate pokie machines in a venue.
So if you were to if we're talking about shifting your venue, you would still have to have a license to operate, and you'd have to have, so you're only just shifting the building. You can't, and so if a business is sold, say if I owned a pokie bar and I decided to sell it, I'd have to sell it to a licensed operator, you know, otherwise my license would just fall over if someone came in. So you understand it now.
Yep. Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. So same scenario if you sell a bar. The person buying it needs to get their licenses to operate a bar. That's a very similar scenario. I think this relocation one is just very simple and makes common sense. I think we're trying to make something that's simple quite complicated here. I think it makes good common sense. But
thank you, Councillor Todd.
Thank you. I presume those councils that have a sinking lid policy wouldn't allow this to happen because they wouldn't be able to shift because of the sinking of the policy. So, which I'd be against. So I'd be in favour of of allowing relocations.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson?
Another point of clarification. So we have some venues that have 18, which is sort of outside the policy of shifting. So on that basis, can they sort of technically, if you buy that business, you can technically buy it and shift those 18, keep them in perpetuity, even though they're not historical. You're just sort of buying the license, if you understand what I mean. Say if a pub had 18 and the pub was going to shut and they sold it to a new operator coming to town who had an operator's license and had a venue, they could technically take those 18 and put them in the new venue. Is that correct? Through under this venue change policy.
Sorry, could you just, sorry, I didn't quite catch the first part of that
So
question.
I have a venue that has 18 under the grandfathering clause, I'd say it, and I decide that I want to get out of gambling, get out of the business, so I sell my business to someone else, and they're basically buying the business to get the 18, and they've set up a new venue, new everything, and just take the 18 from there and shift it across.
No, so they could change the location of the venue and they would retain 18, but they can't set up a new venue and then transfer the consent, if that makes sense. So as part of the relocation, it has to be the same business, just relocating to a different venue.
Same business. Yeah. That's what I mean. The same business. Yeah.
Millis.
Thank you. And just looking at the submissions, page 18, 19, it's all quite supportive, but one of the, what did I say, page 20, Jared's submission just talking about enables a venue to relocate out of a high deprivation area to a low deprivation area. And I think that's probably something that is quite key.
Councillor Cameron.
It's in the policy, isn't it? They have to go sort of backwards from
Yes.
Yeah. The higher number is the better the least deprived, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they have to go to a 7 or greater, don't they?
Lower deprivation.
Lower deprivation, so they go down. So it's the opposite of schools.
Yeah, it is the polar opposite.
Okay. So they go down, they've got to go below 7. Is that correct?
7 or below. Yeah.
7 or below.
Yes, so if they're currently in an 8, 9 or a 10 and they want to shift, they need to move to 7 or below.
Is there any data that shows where most gamblers live? Like, do most gamblers live below 7 or above 7?
We don't know. But, I mean, ultimately, if you've got venues in high deprivation areas, you'd expect people around them to be using them, potentially.
Sorry, just
You've been gambling.
as part of the social impact report, there were some stats around the percentage of problem gamblers being primarily from high deprivation areas. So that is a well-known stat. In terms of what that looks like at a district level, we don't have that data, unfortunately.
But when you look on our map, we have, if we're going, even though we're only, 100 metres from low to high, we've still got them in high deprivation areas, haven't we, on our map locally?
Existing venues yes.
Yes,
yes
the
they
venues where they currently are, it seems to be in high deprivation. So that would suggest that they're less likely to move to lower deprivation areas. I would be surprised, and I wonder if that comment is what actually happens in reality, is my point. Why would a person that wants more money, gambling, go somewhere where they're less likely to be money spent in their poker machine?
I would have thought the definition of a problem gambler is it only occurs when you run out of money. So if you've got lots of money, you can gamble all you like. And it may be a problem, but it probably comes to the fore when you run out of money because you can't look after yourself and feed your kids and all the rest. So that would mean you will see the problems in the low deprivation areas because they've run out of money. It's not that they're gambling less or more; they just may have run out of money. So you would hope that the gambling things decide to shift to the low deprivation areas where there is plenty of money to put in their pokies rather than stay in the low ones where they're running out.
Mielis?
I think this would be good to retain this proposal.
Yeah, are we ready for a vote? I think we are. So do you support the proposal to allow relocations of existing venues for certain reasons? In favour? Against? Thank you, got direction.
But can I just ask one more question through the chair? The relocations are going to less deprived areas, aren't they, when you read it? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I support that.
We're just about there, aren't we?
Nearly there, too. Nearly there. Hold on.
Okay, on page 22 of the summary, we proposed some further changes to the policy, such as the introduction of principles and definitions, merging of clauses, minor wording and heading updates, and an additional clause regarding applications and fees. And the feedback received commented on deprivation levels and level of community harm on page 22, so just wondering if we want to make any further changes based on that feedback.
Any questions, councillors?
Is it possible to go through each page of all the submitters and just, if there's any in the summary, because there's quite a few comments on this one and other comments.
Oh, are you looking at the other comments though? Are you looking at feedback and comments regarding the policy, or because we're up to, yeah. So yeah. No. So, do you agree with the other proposed changes? In favour? Aye. Against? No. Thank you.
All right, and then on pages 23 to 28 were the comments on the question. Do you have any further feedback or comments regarding the policy? So on the slides we've just summarised the points. So I don't know if you want to work through those based on the comments.
Okay, so we'll go through page by page, starting with 23. And any comments or questions? (24) (25) (26) (27) (28) (29) (30) and 31. Excellent. Thank you. Direction, happy guys? Yep. Time for a cup of tea. draft dangerous and insanitary buildings policy 2025, and we'll head to the top table. Femka,
Yes, thank you.
can you introduce Michael? I think the new councillors may not have met you yet, have they, Michael?
That was on the top of my list.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Great minds.
So now, welcome. We're now at the deliberations of another policy, the dangerous and insanitary buildings policy, and for that we have next to us the team that's been involved with that, and that is Michael Wong, who is our building services manager at council, and Rick, you've met for the previous workshop, and he's joining us for this deliberations as well. Yep.
Thank you.
All right. So, as you've been told for the previous deliberations that you just finalised, this policy has had a consultation at the same time as the gambling venue policy, but they are two separate policies. So we'll just confirm or reaffirm the process for the deliberations that will start now. So in the submissions that were received, there was no one who indicated they wanted to speak, so that's why there's no hearing for this policy. So we'll just go straight into the deliberations. So for the deliberations, we have shared the documents with you on Stellar, and first of all, that will be the full submissions booklet, and we'll just assume that all submissions are read. And the submissions, they are sort of themed in a summary document, and there was a small amount of submissions, only 6, but that will be we'll go through them using the summary of feedback document, and after that we'll run through the draft of the policy, which shows all the proposed changes, and we're here to collect your feedback and to answer any questions that you might have on this policy. Right, so how did we get to this review? So this actually started with a notification from the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment that highlighted to us that there was the word affected missing in our policy following a review of the Building Act, if I'm correct. And they had further recommendations, so that triggered a policy review a bit earlier than on the normal policy review cycle. So we proposed a draft, we presented that to council with some additional changes, and that's what went out to the community for consultation in September and October. So during that process, we received 6 submissions, and today we are deliberating on those. So now I'd ask you to probably open the summary of feedback on your tablets. And I'll just start with a bit of the statistics as from the feedback received. So the question that we asked, we actually asked only one question in the consultation, and that was, do you support the draft policy as presented? And on that question, we got 6 responses. 4 of the submitters saying yes, 1 organization saying they were neutral, and 1 organization that did not support the current draft policy. I will now open up the summary. And I will just go through page by page, and we can answer any questions. So if we look at the statistics, I mean, the 66% in support of the policy, but it just have to take note that it was only 6 submissions, so percentage sometimes means something different. All right, so on the page number 5, is there the top table shows the submissions in support of the draft policy, and then we get the feedback from the submission from Te Whatu Ora, who have recommendations to make changes. And is there any questions that councillors have?
Councillor Cameron.
Do I have to talk on this page, or can I talk in general?
You can talk in general.
What is insanitary conditions? Is that rats everywhere? I mean, how do you assess insanitary? And when you Google unsanitary or insanitary, they seem to mean both the same, not sanitary. How do you assess an insanitary building? Like no facilities.
Basically, no facilities, yes.
No facilities.
So under the Building Act, under section 121, we have to assess the building, and basically the insanitary part is that it has no potable water and no facilities to toilet, basically.
Are there insanitary buildings in our district?
Yes, there are.
Ah, what are they there for?
So they may have been mostly damaged by fire and partially standing.
Okay.
So you can't use the kitchen or
Right.
yeah. So,
So they're a
it's
temporary
generally
sort of
that's how we
structure
get
type of
the
thing.
main requests from the fire service.
Thank you.
So are they residential buildings?
They could be commercial as well.
Do you know what split they are?
I've been here 13 years and we've only done one commercial and maybe 20 odd residential.
I know we've had a bit of a pigeon problem. Do they affect these buildings?
That would come under a different policy, yes.
Right, if you're happy for me to move to the next page.
Thank you.
Feedback on page 6.
So just a question on Te Whatu Ora's submission. So are they a little bit off track in their submission, or I mean, they're talking about health and buildings being dangerous, but it's something. It's more to do with the Building Act. Is that correct?
Yes, through the chair. The reason why we started the policy in the first place was through an audit by MB to say we need a policy so that people could understand what it was about, and that was through the Building Act. And all the submission from Te Whatu Ora is really, really good, and they are things that we do consider as part of our investigations. But under the Building Act, I can only deem it insanitary for the potable water or the lack of toiletry stuff. And in Rick's role as an environmental health officer, he can do the health side of things for overcrowding, rats and stuff like that. So yeah, we sort of suggested that if we did make a recommendation to include Rick's role in the policy, that would include their submission.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
How many rental properties would have fallen under insanitary?
Out of the 20 that we've looked at, maybe half were rentals.
And do those landlords then what?
So they get referred if they don't meet the threshold for the Building Act, which is really high, because most houses do, if the rentals do have water and they might not have enough facilities, so we do refer those through the tenancy services.
Yeah.
All right, there's no further questions, page number 7. And page number 8. And page number 9, which is the last page with one correction that we will update the policy to correct that. Yeah, the referencing of the fire and emergency in New Zealand. Yep. Okay, so if you're happy for me to move away from the summary document, we'll go to the draft policy. So on the screen now is the draft policy, and that just highlights the proposed changes. So some of these will be, as you can see, we've added the affected to all the to the title and to the places where it's supposed to be added. And I can also just run through this. This is page, and another proposed change is to add the definition of a dam to match what is currently in the Building Act, a dangerous dam. So page number 1, page number 2, and this will also be presented to Council at the meeting, page number 3.
Councillor Maxwell.
Sorry, just going back to the definitions, you've got your affected building, you've put section 121 of the Act or a dangerous dam. Do you want an and or just an or?
Good question.
Because they're different.
We'll just have the and or? Yes. I'll check that, yes. Yeah. Thank you. I'm on page 4.
Oh,
Councillor Cameron.
thank you. Investigation and enforcement process. Council will endeavour to respond and investigate all building complaints. How does that go on our measurement aspect, the endeavour aspect of it?
Sorry, could you, the paragraph number?
3.7.1. This one, next page. There it is here. Council will endeavour to do it within 5 days. You know how we have achieved, did not achieve? You know, on our metrics, KPIs. We're going to endeavour. Do we do it or do we not do it?
Through the chair, so we would acknowledge that with a request that came in, we acknowledge that straight away.
Okay.
And then the endeavour part was to say that, because we might have to do some background investigation first, so we might not meet the 5 days in terms of getting physically to the site, but we've done the background work on.
Do you think we should have a maximum time? I'm not saying we do need to, but do we need to have an expectation? Because people might be worried or waiting upon the council assessment. Do we need to have a time frame? 5 to 10 working days or 5 to 15 or whatever? Is that reasonable for people?
Just to add to, thank you, through the chair, just to add to what Mr. Wong's just said, the endeavour means that the staff will use the best efforts to actually to make that target. There are always situations where it won't happen, and it's actually not correct to say that we will, because it's not always possible to do so. So I think that's why endeavour shows a commitment and a best efforts approach to actually reaching that goal.
Thank you. Is a caravan that's on a site permanently deemed as a building and could be classed under this?
Through the Building Act definitions, yes.
Elis?
Thank you. 3.7.2, you've got where a building is a heritage building listed in Council's district plan, a marae, or a building listed in the New Zealand Heritage List. Heritage New Zealand shall also be advised and consulted. So would Heritage New Zealand be consulted regarding a marae? all maraes, is Hakateri Marae listed as a heritage building? I'm just wondering about that sentence.
We can get back, we can do some research and confirm that with you for the report.
Thank you.
Councillor Wilson.
Sorry to go back. The affected building one with the dam, because the dam stuff is quite prevalent in our district. There's all the irrigation dams, and if they become dangerous dams, it's quite defined downhill and all this sort of stuff, you know, where the dams flow. And is that definition strict enough to follow that? Because it says adjoining or nearby, you know, it's quite vague. So would that mean if I use the Carew dams up at Carew, the Mayfield Hines ones, if you're nearby, if you're within a K, is that a K upstream, is that a dangerous building? I'm just you know, the definition is quite all-encompassing rather than defined by the Act. Is that correct or not?
Through the chair, the wording that we've chosen is actually straight from the Act itself, so there's no definition of nearby. If we did get something to do with the dam, we would need to contact ECAN in the first instance to get the plans to see where the proposed breach wall is on the dam, and then we would work out where the flow path would be, and then we could look at the affected buildings in that path.
Yeah, Liz.
Thank you. Scrap my question before, because I just see in the definition it explains that.
Thank you. Sorry, I'll go to page number 5. And last page, page number 6.
No further questions?
All right, and then thank you. And the next step is that we'll present the report and the policy for adoption on the 17th of December council meeting.
Great.
All right.
Thanks, Pinka. All done. Meeting closed. Thanks, everybody.